Chemical gases were firstly invented at the start of World War I in 1914 by the German chemist Fritz Haber when he discovered a method of creating ammonia in a laboratory for use as fertilizer. This discovery was extremely important because the process later led to the making of explosives. After the military asked Haber to experiment with tear gas, he discovered phosgene. He saw no ethical barrier to using gas, so it was first used by the Germans in Ypres and carried on being used in the future.
Three substances were responsible for most chemical weapon-related injuries and deaths during World War I: chlorine, phosgene, and mustard gas. Phosgene was the main gas used in the war and was responsible for 85% of deaths by chemical weapons. On April 22, 1915, the Germans released chlorine gas on the unsuspecting French troops in Belgium. This later became known as the start of chemical warfare. The Germans had dedicated a lot of time and money to research and develop chemical gases, which the Allied powers did not realize until it was almost too late. However, the Germans overestimated the other side's knowledge on the subject, and they assumed they were prepared to fight back against chemical weapons, so they were hesitant to use the gases. The British began to do testing as well, and they continued even after the war was over, sadly taking many lives with their experimentation. Gases had never really been used in warfare until World War I, but after countries learned to use the chemicals as weapons, they had a newfound way to efficiently wipe out their opponent. This led to many more deaths in the conflicts to come.
Chemical gases are extremely prevalent nowadays, especially in military context. In 2013, the Syrian military used sarin gas against civilians during the Syrian civil war. Hundreds were killed. Chemical gases were widely used in World War I by the Germans and World War II specifically by the Nazis. Weapons with similar effects to poisonous gases were used starting from 600 BCE, when the Athenian military tainted the water supply of the besieged city of Kirrha with poisonous hellebore plants. However, up until the First World War, none of these weapons were in gas form. Chemical gases present many problems, including problems for the environment, and according to Abigail Lauer from the University of Colorado, many types of gases such as chlorine, phosgene, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, nitrogen dioxide, and ammonia may suddenly be released during industrial accidents and may severely irritate the lungs.
And then again, you see chemical warfare emerge again in World War II with the Nazis using a hydrogen cyanide agent which is very poisonous, and it's called Zyklon B, and they would use it in gas chambers, right? And they would gas Jews to death. And so you see these horrible weapons being used to harm thousands and thousands of people, and that's why there have been so many laws put in place. I think the most recent in the 1990s banning stockpiling of chemicals. But even today, we still use things like pepper spray in riots, right? And those are considered chemical gases. So it's interesting seeing the evolution of chemicals used as weapons and their effect on large populations.
In the present day, dangerous chemical gases are being used to kill mass amounts of people, sometimes even harmless citizens, in a painful and torturous way. In Khan Shaykhun, Syrian planes dropped bombs filled with the deadly gas on the city, killing many innocent Syrian civilians, including 11 children. And events like that have caused quite a few countries, including the USA, to ban the use of chemical gases because of how truly horrific the effects of them are, and how dangerous it is to have the power to use them at will. These gases can be used for anything, which is why they are so hazardous. If they are readily accessible, they can just be used for a terrorist attack or by a country trying to silence its people. They are no longer just used for war and have very negatively impacted society.